Why is jobless reincarnation so controversial in the anime community? In today's video, I'm going to be answering that question. But really quickly before the video starts, if you don't mind, hit the like button, go down in the comments, tell me what animes you would like to see next, and tell me your favorite part of today's video. But without further ado, let's get into it. Jobless reincarnation is basically your run-of-the-mill average isekai anime with some aspects that make it more enjoyable than others, such as the world building, the characters. Our main character, Rudy's Grey Rat, is a 30-something-year-old grown man who ended up dying to Truck-kun and getting isekai. Rudius was born into the Grey Rat family, and while the Grey Rats are technically nobles, he was born into the more humble side of his family. Rudius spends most of his early childhood learning magic from a tutor named Roxy. Roxy is going to be an important part of the story later, so, just keep her in mind. After spending a few years learning under Roxy, she realizes that she no longer has anything left to teach him, so she decides that her job is done and she's gonna go off and do her own adventures. After deciding to go to the capital so he can find a job, get some money, pay for tuition for school so he can further his magical studies, that's exactly what he does. And he ends up working for his relatives of the Grey Rat family. And his job is basically just to teach his cousin to use magic. Eris Grey Rat. She is also a pretty important character later on in the story, just keep her in mind as well. After about a year of him teaching his cousin magic, the mass teleportation happens. The mass teleportation was basically an event where everyone within a certain vicinity of this certain mass was teleported to random spots all over the world. Rudy and Eris end up in the Demon Continent, which is a very, very dangerous place. They end up meeting this guy named Rudy, and they kind of just travel together for some time, so they kind of just do that for about the entire season. After finding their way home after about a year or two, Eris and Rudy part ways with Rudy, and they go off to greet everyone. While they're in the camp, Eris receives some very, very bad news. Members of her family were not found and were presumed dead, and others were found but dead. So Eris basically lost like half of her family in a single event. And since she was still holding out hope that they were alive, it just hit her even harder. That same night, when it's late, Eris goes to Rudy's tent, and they, do the deed. This is one of the issues that led to a lot of controversy. Incest. The incest in this show is borderline, highly uncomfortable. Not to mention the fact that both of them are very underage. I think Eris was about 13 in this scene and Rudy was about 11, so that makes it extremely uncomfortable and very, very gross to think about. Now, after this night, Rudius wakes up in the morning and he's overly geeked, he's ecstatic, he just lost his V-card, he's hyped. Then he looks over to the bed and he sees that Eris isn't there. He doesn't panic immediately, but after he reads the note that Eris left for him on his desk, he immediately loses every single bit of happiness in his body. Eris basically left in the middle of the night while he was still sleeping. She went to go explore and do adventurer things or whatever, and this right here left Rudius in a state of crippling depression. He was a complete shell of his former self. His depression is actually a pretty major part of his character from here on out. Even going on to season 2, where a lot of the story he actually travels by himself after losing Eris. He finds it hard to trust after this, because at this point he thinks they're just gonna leave him like Eris left him. And part of this fear actually stems from his past life as well. Since he was a complete shut-in, he never really had much social interaction. So Rudy's trust issues and depression stem from his past life being a shut-in and all, and they also stem from his deep self-loathing that he has throughout the entire story. Even from day one, we can see that Rudy doesn't think very highly of himself. Next up on the list, we have the grooming of Sophiette. And while some people can debate this, they really have to think about it. Rudius is 30 years old at the time the story starts. By the time he meets Sophiette, it's maybe 6-7 years later, so we can estimate that he's about 36 in total. Rudy is a 30-something-year-old grown man being friends with a little girl, the same little girl who he ends up marrying 10 years later. I don't know about you, but I think that perfectly fits the description of grooming. That also brings me to my next topic. Rudy's cheating low-key goes unnoticed because it's so small in comparison to the other shit that he does in the show, but Rudy is just a really bad person, bro. Rudy is a terrible ass nigga. Throughout the entire show, he sexualizes tons of women, even his own mom. Now granted, he did not know that was his mom at the time. It's just the fact that he'll do it to anybody, right? On the demon continent, in the beast kingdom, his own friends, his own family, it doesn't matter. Rudy is objectively a piece of shit, which is why it's not out of character for him to cheat on his wife. Might I add that he cheats on his wife with his past instructor. Yup, that same Roxy. And then he proceeds to come home and ask his wife, can I bring another person into our marriage? And the fact that Sophiette says yes is just so mind-boggling to me, even though she's supposed to be this perfect angel of a wife, right? Who's always understanding. While Rudy is cheating was not completely unprovoked, he was in a very bad space. He lost his dad and his mom was a vegetable. And his mentor was the only one around to, you know, actually comfort him, and he just kinda went along with it, which ultimately led to his cheating. And while there are tons of out-of-pocket animes, I think Jobless Reincarnation will have to stay within the top of the tiers for a while. But I would love to hear what you think about it, so make sure to hit that like button and comment down below your opinion on the matter. If you have an opinion, it's 100% okay to not have an opinion on the matter. I honestly don't have a crazy opinion on the matter. But thank you guys for watching, I appreciate you. I'll see y'all next week. Mwah.
All the time, all of mine.